These people were clearly being gnawed beyond recognition, yet not only did they not feel pain, they actually wore expressions of enjoyment. What the hell was going on? Just when you thought that was already enough, someone got bitten by a bug, and black dragon-like bulges grew out of both his eyes. Even more outrageous, someone's entire face got covered by egg-sized ticks. Each plump little grape-like lump looked like a delicacy. If your friend loves grapes, be sure to give them some. But the reason they turned into this all starts with a little lowly getting attacked by a butterfly. A timid, cowardly fat loser was somehow favored by the goddess, so he risked his life to save her. Unbeknownst to him, that step forward would make him the world's fastest weight loser. Just 2.5 seconds later, he was sucked dry into a mummified corpse. The buff girl Ray picked up a 40-meter-long blade and stabbed it right at the butterfly. But to her surprise, its shell was harder than diamonds. What now? At that moment, the hero in Mika had a flash of inspiration. She lit up a can of bug spray. Under the blazing heat, she finally managed to kill the giant butterfly. Just when they thought they were safe, a giant mud wasp suddenly grabbed Yuki. Mika desperately tried to pull her back, but not only did she fail, she also enraged the wasp, which jabbed her right in the butt with a tranquilizer and dragged her back to its nest. Mume knew full well if she didn't hurry and save her friend, she'd be chewed alive. So she fearlessly charged into the wasp's lair. The selfish class tyrant Shun tried to stop her at first, but when his bro was in danger, he threw everything aside and rushed in. What a double-standard dog! But little did he know, that move nearly cost him his life. The mud wasp spotted him quickly and charged at him at lightning speed. Thankfully, Mika reacted in time, covered his little cherry mouth, and confused the enemy. Left with no choice, Shun followed Mika into the nest to save their friend. But the moment the door opened, everyone was left stunned. Before them was a hellish sight. Countless mud wasp larvae feasting on living humans. And strangely, despite blood spraying everywhere, the hosts all wore expressions of ecstasy. What was happening? Turns out, the larvae injected their hosts with a saliva that induces pleasure. This brutal parasitism made everyone feel sick. So they started a massacre. But with the death of the larvae, the saliva stopped, and the hosts suddenly began screaming in agony. One classmate, regaining his senses, immediately begged Shun for help. But upon seeing his body crawling with maggots, Shun screamed and bolted. The rest followed. Once he recovered, Shun couldn't bear to leave his bro behind. So he grabbed the spiked bat and charged back into the nest. Using sound to locate his paralyzed friend, he found him. But the door creaked open, alarming the wasp. Luckily, during their scuffle, Mika arrived in time, spraying bug spray right into the wasp's face. She wanted Shun to run first, then return once the wasp left, but he ignored her, rushing off to save others on his own. Left with no choice, Mika lured the wasp away by herself. Fortunately, she made it back and found the unconscious Yuki. She quickly removed the insect eggs and began dragging her out. But with her frail arms, she couldn't lift her. So she asked Shun for help. But that selfish jerk just grinned and said, "Not my problem." What an ungrateful bastard. So Mika had no choice but to slowly drag her friend toward the cave exit. But oh no, another mud wasp came in. They thought they were doomed. Unexpectedly, due to territorial conflict, two mud wasps began fighting. Ray seized the chance, climbed in, and helped Mika drag Yuki out. Though they made it out, to neutralize the wasp venom, they needed to drink lots of salt water.
So they made their way to the beach, but just as they were almost there, a new wave of crisis struck. A swarm of ticks surged toward them like a tidal wave. They had no choice but to run faster. Right at the shoreline, they ran into the art teacher. They thought salvation had arrived, but it was the start of a nightmare. As the teacher approached, everyone broke into goosebumps. The teacher had already been sucked into a cluster of grape-like ticks. For everyone's safety, Mika made a tough decision. She shoved Tim toward the bugs. In an instant, countless ticks swarmed him. His agonized screams echoed across the entire island. What would you do in such a situation? Once at the beach, everyone stripped and bathed, but no one noticed a parasite had crawled into a guy's foot. Thus, a ticking time bomb was planted in their group. The parasite crawled up his arm, then into the center of his forehead. The next second, two green worms took over his eyes. Under their control, he went insane, dashing out the door, climbing a 200-meter tower in a flash, and summoning sky predators. Then, he was sliced clean in half. For survival, everyone sprinted toward the safe house. But then, heartless wavy hair girl got locked inside. Who knew that cold decision would cost them dearly? Seeing Yuki slowly wake up, Shun grew lustful. He pulled out his toothpick on the spot. But before he could start, he got knocked to the ground, followed by Yuki. Turns out Tomo had a conscience. Meanwhile, a giant mosquito broke in. They thought they were dead meat, but at the last second, Tomo opened the door. The giant bug got locked outside, but didn't give up hunting, climbed on top of the roof, and waited for them to come out. But Mika didn't just sit around. She planned to use the insect's phototaxis to kill the mosquito. Sneaking out the back, she used a tape recorder to lure it to a street lamp. I really admire her bravery, but she nearly got sliced in half. Fortunately, with main character plot armor, she made it to the lighthouse. Just as she was pulling the blackout curtain, it got stuck. She had to climb up and pull the other rope. At the last second, she successfully lured the mosquito to the light. A male classmate controlled the lighthouse, unleashing 100,000 volts of electricity, and roasted the mosquito to a crisp. Looking at the crispy bug, even Ray started drooling. After this near-death escape, everyone agreed. Shun and Wavy Hair Girl were a plague on the team, so they tied them up and left them in the shelter, letting them rot. What a satisfying moment. Then the rest set off again on their wild survival journey. How many of them do you think will survive?